What's going on, everybody? I'm about to simultaneously stream my chat, my discussion, my speech on globalfreedomrally.com. And I'm about to simultaneously stream it here on Instagram. I'm gonna be...
First vaccines, it goes on.
I'm gonna be quiet for a few minutes as I get started. So I made this shifty sign. So if you're not watching this live, here we are.
There's a lot there. I mean, there's a lot there, and I don't mind saying it's concerning. And these are some of the biggest challenges that I've noticed myself, and I've had a problem with from the start. If there is no accountability, if there is no way that we can, fight
I'm
back
about to go live
in any sense, or even speak out, from censorship to the companies actually being protected by the government, etc.
What's going on, everybody? I'm about to go live on globalfreedomrally.com. It's so awesome how nobody sees I'm live anymore. It's really awesome. So inspirational. But here's where we're about to be, globalfreedomrally.com/live. I'm about to go live there, and I'm going to simultaneously stream it here on the gram. But it'll be on in just a few minutes here, so it'll be quiet, and then I'll get going here in a second. What's going on? 13 people. There's 13 people in here. 16 people. I used to have 200. I used to have 250 people on at a time in 30 seconds. So, but none of my stuff's getting pushed anymore. Getting grossly suppressed, but whatever. Yeah, there's no more badges. The badges are canceled. That's an L.
You have people like you that are experts that have done the time and have that background knowledge that's sharing. So, Dr. J, I want to say a big thank you. Where can our audience find you? Where can our audience see more of you?
Yeah, YouTube, Anthony J.
Yeah, it's free for everybody. But you can stay here. I'm going to stream the whole thing. But
Anthony J on there.
If you want to watch it live, globalfreedomrally.com. They also have a YouTube.
Awesome, my friend. Again, I want to say a huge thank you. Thank you for
all right, here we go.
To the Global Freedom Rally. Keep doing what
About
you're
to get
doing.
started.
And again, huge gratitude from me to you, my friend.
All
Thank you.
All right, here we go.
Guys, what an inspiration. I hope that gave you some insight into, again, how some of this works behind the scenes, because these are things we don't hear about. These are things we don't know.
What's up, everybody?
One thing we need to stop doing is giving the pharmaceutical companies and the government at this stage the benefit.
What's going on, everybody? Here we go.
Huge thank you from us and the Global Freedom Rally. We now have an absolute legend.
Let's go!
Bobby Sausalito, all the way from the US of A. I interviewed this man the other week on my Instagram. He is passionate, he is focused, and he's doing some amazing things. I want to welcome Bobby to the Global Freedom Rally.
What's going on? How are we? Glad to be here.
My man.
What's going on?
We got you.
What happened?
Oh, there we go. We've got you loud and clear.
How we doing, man?
Good, my man. Thank you so much for joining us. How have you been since our last conversation?
Living the dream. There was a lot of good things that happened in the United States today, which I will not talk about right now, but freedom is alive and well, and the good guys win in the end. So I'm happy to be here and happy to be an American and a citizen of Earth at this strange time.
Absolutely, and you are right. The good guys will win, and you are one of the good guys. I'm going to leave you to speak to our audience, and I'll be seeing you in just a moment.
Sounds good. All right, first of all, for everybody that doesn't know, my name is Bobby Sausalito. You can find me online at bobbysauce.com or at takenaps on Instagram. I just want to thank everybody that is watching here at the Global Freedom Rally. Thanks to Andy, and thank you all for your precious time. So basically my presentation, speech, whatever, is split into essentially two parts: 10 minutes of the problem and 10 minutes of the solution. The way that I see it is that the world is in a constant and perpetual battle of good and evil. And the modern war of today is an information war. The front lines of this war are held by everyday citizens, most of whom are casual observers in the everyday goings-on of the world. And what we are witnessing is emotional manipulation at scale. We are witnessing the powers that be control the primary means of information, which is where they have the ability to take over the hearts and minds of essentially all the people in the world. The media is the virus, and the real problem that is happening right now is that you have a very select and small, closely knit held group of powerful people and organizations running and controlling all the information sources that come to the hearts and minds of people around the world. Because this small group of companies know how to emotionally manipulate the vast majority of people that only slightly pay attention to the goings on of the world, it allows them to use sloganeering, colorful language, and emotionally manipulative tactics to control the hearts and minds of the vast majority of people. As a result of this, they have successfully infiltrated the discussion. They have control and have the ability and they have figured out how to make the zeitgeist malleable, how to form and change the general disposition of your average everyday person to fit tightly within their narrative. They see the problems that go on in the world, and they're constantly stoking these problems and creating more problems as a result, constantly creating this divide between the people that maybe pay attention or the ones that are easily emotionally manipulated that only pay attention at the surface level. People are generally and inherently tribal in the sense that they want to be on the right side of any discussion. They want to be on the right side of what's happening in the world. And to see the other side of the equation takes research, takes intelligence, takes discernment, takes independent thinking, and takes a unique not only understanding of yourself, but a deep understanding of the world at large. The vast majority of people don't want to take the time that's necessary to understand the other side of this perspective, because if they were only to realize and see the true nature of what's going on in the world, if they were only able to see the truth, then it would be their duty to their soul and their existence here on the earth to then defend it, to then press back against it, and thus fight on the good side. And because most people, generally speaking, probably don't want to tee up and go against what they consider to be the vast majority of people and the grain, so to speak, they instead stand idly by, allowing the world to pass them by. And they're a casual observer of all of the evils that are being perpetuated, not only throughout our society, but throughout our structures of power, all the halls of business, and all the people that control how the world operates. They figured out that if you can emotionally manipulate people to believe, act, and speak out in a way that furthers your direction and furthers your narrative, and then you can monitor, analyze, and react to those touch points in real time, you can essentially dictate how the world and how the people of the earth move and understand what's happening in their reality. You demonize any aspect of that reality that may seem outside of the norm. You demonize independent thought. You demonize the other side of the equation, the other side of the argument. You silence any dissent. You silence any person that may conflict with the general narrative. And you progress forward constantly, always knowing that your objective is power, money, and control. By obtaining power, money, and control over the vast majority of people, you can essentially dictate how the world moves, how the halls of power are controlled, and what the future will be for not only your children, but your family and your bloodline. You can secure the power into a small group of a number of countryless, locationless and moneyless people that essentially can move their wealth and their assets evenly around the world, have no loyalty to any one individual company, and they can just puppeteer all of the power around the entire world at the same time. As a result of this, by creating this environment where the vast majority of people are distracted, fighting against one another, thinking that they're virtuous or righteous in their understanding of what the world is, and then being emotionally manipulated to a point where they go out and act upon it, where they are mad at their neighbors, mad at their family, are fearful, and stay in this constant low vibration state where the only option that they think there is to follow the norm, follow the consistent and proven path that the vast majority of people take. Meanwhile, the people that are really in power, they control the flows of all the money and the controls of all the information. If your average everyday person was to consider the amount of information that passes through their mind, it comes from a variety and a very limited amount of sources. Because this amount of sources is so limited, it is ripe for manipulation. And because they understand at a very high level how the vast majority of people move and think, they can emotionally manipulate large swaths of people at a record pace. When you think about books, movies, movie studios, television studios, radio stations, you think about social media companies, online distribution, online platforms. When you think about the mainstream news, news outlets, when you think about large concert venues, stadiums, large businesses, and any mechanism by which to distribute information, they have a very smart and strategic and systematic stranglehold over these points of distribution of information. And because they have that, they're able to emotionally manipulate the vast majority of people that are around the world today. That is the problem. So enough of the problem. What is the solution? The solution and how we save the world, how we create liberty, freedom, and save future generations of this planet, I think is very simple. Oftentimes the problems are complicated and the solutions are simple. This is solved by the individual. This is solved by conversations, hand-to-hand discussions, storytelling, and the individual betterment of each of us as individual sovereign beings. Through our collective efforts at figuring out how to be the freest person, perpetuate the most freedom, fight for fairness, justice, and justice for all, fight for the right to protect yourself, to protect your property, to earn a living, and essentially to live your life as a free sovereign being with God-given rights. If each of us was to just understand that our purpose in this world is to help the universe and help the world and help ourselves individually evolve. That's the point. That's why we're here. That's what the purpose of life is. That's what the world collectively and humanity is doing at any and all times. So how do we do that? People grossly under-index to their capacity. They grossly underestimate the strength and power of the distribution of not only their own voice, but their mentality, the way that they move throughout the world, and the way that they operate in this life. If we could only recognize our divine power to not only convince other people that your voice matters, that what you do matters, that what you say and how you act, how you think about yourself, and the thoughts that go through your mind will affect not only your life directly and objectively from moment to moment, from day to day, but it will also affect the hearts and minds of so many other people far beyond what we're even capable of understanding at this moment in time. Because we have the internet, we have the ability to solidify ideas, information, and the message of truth for a millennia, for essentially until the end of time. Think about how, when I was younger, I used to think to myself, I would love to have a life so significant that there was a statue of me somewhere, that I did something so great and so memorable that people remembered me decades, centuries, and maybe 1,000 years of the future, of which there are many examples of these people. Human people, just like you and me, that wake up in the morning and put on their pants one leg at a time. What I later realized is that the internet and digital media is the statue of the future. Imagine how amazing it would be to watch a speech from Abraham Lincoln, from George Washington, to watch all of this information and media that we're able to create and cement into the hands of time forever. Imagine how interesting it would be to watch a video of your father or your mother or your grandfather or your great-grandfather or grandmother talk about how they thought and felt based on the reactions of in a certain period of time. How interesting it would be to see my grandfather's perspective and what he was doing during the Great Depression, for example. Our statue, our ability to have perpetual greatness and tremendous significance, not only on the world that we live in today, but in the future ahead of us, is to have courage, speak freedom, and know that the truth can never be silenced and that courage is always rewarded. If we could only understand that through our own words and our own actions, the future freedom, the freedom for future generations will be enshrined for a lifetime. It's unfortunate, but the reality is that every generation is faced with some seemingly insurmountable, seemingly unovercomable challenge that takes shape in many different forms. And it's only when we look back, when hindsight is 20/20, that we realize how significant those moments were. And the people that we remember are the people that did things tremendously dangerous, tremendously significant, and tremendously courageous with great adversity coming against them. They drove forward into a headwind when every other indicator told them that it was going to be a difficult and arduous journey. Yet, despite this, these people stepped up. They decided that what was more important was being great. What was more important was enshrining freedom for the future generations of the world. And depending on how you look at existence, depending on how you look at humanity, there's a reasonable case to think that life never began and never ends. This may be your 30th round in this life, in this particular flesh vehicle, as you travel through on this mysterious, rotating, and ever-expanding, traveling orb through a distant universe by which no one can measure, no one knows the origins, and nobody knows the truth of what this really is. The only real truth is understanding your perspective of this reality and how you will behave in it. The future of humanity, the future of the world, and essentially the world that we all get to live in today is determined by brave and courageous souls that decided to step up at a time that was otherwise inconvenience, that drove headfirst into challenge, into battle, to the front lines of the information war, and fought for what they believe and knew in their soul and in their heart was right, despite the challenges that would inevitably come their way. There have been no shortage of brave and courageous people that have existed before us. And without them, we wouldn't even have the ability to even speak on this specific topic. How significant of an effort they all had made. To think that they are more capable of effectuating great and tremendous change through the hands of time, and that somehow we are unable to do that, will guarantee that we won't. If we could only just simply believe in ourselves, understand that we hold the key to unlocking a beautiful utopia that is America, freedom, liberty, the right to protect yourself and your family, and the pursuit of happiness. As Americans specifically, I feel that we have the obligation and the duty to lead the charge into this. And there's two ways that you can look at the world. You can either look at the world as you have a tremendous capacity for greatness, or you look at the world like you're just anybody else. You just want to live and exist. You just want to mainline through it and go out and get out unscathed. You either believe that, or you believe that you have tremendous and untapped and limitless capacity for immeasurable greatness. All you need to do is change the way you think. Audit the way that you think about the world. Audit the thoughts that come through your mind. Change the conversations that you have with everyday people. The conversations that you have at the bar, at the gym, in your everyday life, on the phone. broadcast truth, continue to fight for freedom and liberty for all. Use your social media platforms, use your conversations, use wherever you have the ear of any person, and press and push the cause of liberty and the cause of freedom. The good guys win in the end. The problem is solved by the individual. Audit your thoughts, audit your words, pay attention to what you're doing in your daily life, and consistently push forward towards freedom, and we will be able to save the world. And in a lot of ways, we already are. You simply consuming this content, believing it, and now being activated and pressing forward towards it will ensure that more greatness and more freedom will exist for all people of the earth until the end of time. Thank you guys so much for your precious time. I really do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some value from this. And I think my time is up, and I think Andy's going to jump back on. But thank you all so much.
Bobby, my man, thank you so much. Again, I love the passion and I love the message. We need more of this because, again, without that energy, without that passion, without that foresight, we're not going to stand up when we need to. We are not going to change. We are not going to create a movement, and that's exactly what's needed right now. And you're doing exactly that, my friend.
Thank
you so much. Tell me, are you feeling a shift in people at the moment? Are you feeling a bit of a change, maybe potentially globally, in regards to how people are viewing this and the action people are willing to take?
Yeah, I think that the truth can never be silenced. It always has this way throughout human history of surfacing itself at the very right moment, and it always has this way of breaking through. And I think that even though they really don't want you to see it, if you go out and have a conversation with your everyday person, not even knowing how they look at the world or what their disposition is to what's going on right now, the vast majority of people, the theoretical silent majority, understand that this is ridiculous. I think that they've overplayed their hand. I think that the real solution to this is it's going to be a mass effort. It's going to be mass conversation. It has to be everybody waking up. It can't just be some people. It can't just be a few people carrying the torch for others. It has to be everybody contributing, even 5 minutes a day of just thinking about it. And with a very, very basic change like that, that's something that the very limited amount of evil people could never overtake. There are far more good people than evil, and there are far more people doing good than there are people doing evil. And because of that reason, it's why they always lose in the end. So I think that this particular moment is one of those opportunities where these things are becoming even more obvious, and hopefully, and as far as I can see, people are waking up to it.
I love that, and I agree on every level. I mean, I think for a long time, because we have lived in such a comfortable state, because we have had it so freaking good and so easy for so long, we lost the understanding that we need to take responsibility for our community and our country and our state and our lives. And I think that people are now finally starting to see that we must take responsibility, and only with that responsibility will we create change and be the change that we want to see in the world. And again, it's because of people like you that are stepping up and sharing your message. So Bobby, I want to say a huge thank you. Where can our incredible audience hear more about you, see you, and what have you got coming up in the next few weeks and months?
So my kind of home base is on Instagram at takenaps, which is shown here in the video. BobbySauce.com is where you can find everything about me. In the footer are links to everything that I've got, from TikTok to Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and the like. So all the links are on BobbySauce.com. What I've got going on is that, it's becoming increasingly difficult to distribute the message on these platforms. However, I remain unfazed by the suppression of this information because I know in my heart that this is what needs to happen. So like all great challenges and all great battles, all I have to do is just continue to re-strategize and know that really love and truth is on my side. And I think that because I'm fighting for it with what I believe is all of my soul and for all of the right reasons, there's really nothing that can stop me or faze me. And I believe that if we were all to believe that, they don't stand a chance.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. And again, it's because of your bravery, your courage, and people don't realize that up until this point, people have put a lot on the line to speak out and to speak up and to just look at the common sense information and talk about it. And you've been one of those people for such a long time. So, Bobby, I've got a huge amount of respect for you. I want to say a big thank you, my friend, and keep doing what you're doing, because, as I said, united, we can truly change the world. Individually, we can do absolutely nothing, but together, we can absolutely change things, and that's what we're doing.
Absolutely, and much respect to you, and thank you so much. And just if we could all just remember that small groups of people with a common cause have been the ones that have changed the world in every case throughout history. So where one comes many and where many comes all, and we can do it. And this is just one of many pieces in the continued fight in the information war. So thank you so much, and thanks to everybody for their attention.
Incredible. Thank you, Bobby. Everybody watching, head on over. We have the link on the screen. Check out Bobby's Instagram as well, full of great content and lots of lols continuously every day. If I'm feeling a bit flat, I just go straight there.
Yes.
You are the master of filters, my man.
Yes.
Sometimes I don't know if it's real or not. No, I'm joking. The filters are great. But thank you, my friend, and we'll see you very soon.
Thank you, brother. All right, there you have it, fam. That was just kind of like a sneak preview of what I'm going to be doing when I speak at the Great American Summit. Some of that presentation at the very beginning I wrote down, and as much as I love the passion and the rawness of an off the cuff speech, I do think that the mega power of something that is really well thought out and written out might be epic, and I think that that's kind of what I realized in this presentation. So I'm gonna really put everything I got into my presentation at Great American Summit, and I'm excited for that. So hey, thanks so much. This is a great number. It's super awesome. But hopefully a lot of people are watching on globalfreedomrally.com. Go to globalfreedomrally.com/live to watch the remainder. It's going to be going for the next 24 hours. There's a lot of great speakers on there. From Tommy Vex to Ian Smith to Dr. Ben Tapper to Ian Went and a variety of other people. So it's going to be really cool. And check me out at Great American Summit. Go to Freedom Rally. Go to the Great American Summit, globalfreedomrally.com, and check me out at the Turning Point event in December in Phoenix. And thank you guys so much for your attention. Much love. I appreciate you, and let's go, Brandon.